The prison stank of rust, sweat, and despair. Captain Elias Kane had seen enough battlefields to know the smell of suffering, but this place was worse. The slavers had abandoned the compound when the Terran Navy raided it, leaving only empty cells, broken chains, and shadows that whispered of cruelty. Elias moved carefully, his boots echoing against the metal floor. His men were still combing through the far wing. He preferred to check this corridor himself. Sometimes things were overlooked, sometimes people. And then he heard it. A faint sound, so fragile, he thought at first it was just the groan of the old steel. But no, it was a sob. He tightened his grip on his sidearm and followed the sound until he reached the last cell. Inside, huddled in the corner, was a girl. Her body was thin, trembling. Her skin bore a faint, iridescent glow beneath the grime, markings of a species he didn't recognize. She had nothing to cover herself but her own arms. Shackles clung loosely to her ankles, rubbed raw from months of restraint. Her head lifted when she heard him. Her eyes, large, luminous, and full of despair, met his. For a moment, Elias felt the world stop. "Easy," he said softly, lowering his weapon. She flinched anyway, pressing back against the wall. He slowly set his gun on the ground where she could see it. Then he knelt, keeping his voice calm. "I'm not here to hurt you. My name's Elias. I'm with the Terran Navy. You're safe now." Her lips trembled. "No one's safe. Not here." Her voice was raw, cracked from thirst and silence. Elias pulled a flask from his belt and slid it carefully through the bars. She stared at it, then at him, suspicious. But thirst won. She crawled forward on shaking limbs and drank greedily, water spilling down her chin. "Good," he murmured. "Take it slow. There's more." When she finished, she handed the flask back with trembling fingers. Her gaze flicked toward the corridor, fear etched into every movement. "They always come back," she whispered. "They hurt me, take pieces of me. Please don't let them come back." Elias's chest tightened. He forced his voice steady. "They're gone. Slavers won't touch you again." She blinked, confused, as though the concept was too big to grasp. He cut the cell lock with a plasma torch. When the door creaked open, she didn't move. "Come on," he urged gently. "You're free." She shook her head violently. "Trap. They tricked me before." "Say I'm free, then." Her voice broke into a sob. Elias swallowed hard. He shrugged off his jacket and laid it over her shoulders. She flinched at the touch, but didn't push it away. The fabric swallowed her small frame, offering warmth and dignity she hadn't felt in months. "You don't have to believe me yet," he said softly. "But you'll walk out of here. I swear it." Her wide, tear-streaked eyes searched his face. Then, slowly, she crawled toward him. The walk through the prison was silent. He kept one hand lightly on her shoulder, guiding her, shielding her from the stares of his men as they passed. They didn't ask questions. They'd seen enough to know. On the extraction shuttle, she curled up in the corner, knees to her chest, jacket clutched tightly around her. Elias sat nearby, not too close, speaking in a calm tone. "What's your name?" he asked gently. She hesitated, then whispered, "Lyra." "Lyra," he repeated, testing the sound. "It's good to meet you." She blinked, as if the idea of someone being glad to meet her was foreign. Back on the flagship, the medics wanted to separate her immediately. "She's malnourished, dehydrated, and traumatized," the doctor said. "We'll take her to medical." "No," Lyra cried suddenly, clutching Elias's arm with surprising strength. Her nails dug into his sleeve. "Don't leave me. Please." The medics hesitated. Elias saw the terror in her eyes and made a decision. "I'll stay," he told her. Do what you need, but I'm not leaving her side." The doctors exchanged a look but didn't argue. Through every examination, every foreline, every scan, Lyra never let go of his hand. Even when exhaustion claimed her and she drifted into sleep, her fingers stayed locked around his. In the days that followed, healing began. The bruises faded. The trembling lessened. With careful patience, Elias coaxed her into eating again, into walking the corridors with him. He gave her his spare ship sweater, far too big, but she seemed to treasure it like armor. Still, shadows lingered in her eyes. Some nights, he found her curled in the corner of the bunk room, whispering to herself, "They'll come back. They always come back." And every time, he knelt beside her, voice steady, repeating the same promise. "Not while I'm here." One evening, as the ship sailed through the stars, she finally asked him the question that had been burning inside. "Why?" He glanced at her. "Why what?" Her voice cracked. "Why did you save me? Others saw me, walked past, said nothing. You stopped." Elias leaned back in his chair, staring out at the stars. Memories pressed against him, of comrades lost, of innocents caught in wars they never asked for. "Because I couldn't walk past," he said finally. "Because nobody deserves what they did to you. And because sometimes," he glanced at her, "the only thing that makes us human is choosing to care." Her lips trembled. Tears welled in her eyes. And for the first time, she didn't turn away from them. She let them fall. Weeks turned into months. Lyra grew stronger. Her laughter, though rare, began to echo faintly through the corridors. The crew, once wary, softened. They brought her small gifts, fruit, sketch pads, trinkets. She always kept Elias closest, but the shadows in her eyes began to lift. One night, as they sat by the viewport, watching distant stars drift past, she leaned against him cautiously. "I used to think I was nothing," she whispered. "Just a thing for them to break." Elias placed a hand gently over hers. "You're not nothing. You're Lyra. And you're free now." She looked at him, tears glistening again, but this time, they weren't born of despair. "They took everything from me," she said softly. "Clothes, hope, even my name. But you gave me back something I thought I lost forever." "What's that?" he asked. Her voice was barely audible. "The belief that I matter." Elias's throat tightened. He wrapped his arm around her, holding her close as she cried. Not the broken sobs of before, but the cleansing kind, the kind that heals. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, Elias Kane knew one truth with certainty. In a galaxy filled with cruelty and indifference, sometimes saving just one soul, one trembling, forgotten girl locked in a cell, was enough to change everything.